Q&A show 50. This week, we are keeping the show under 10 minutes, not a two-parter like last week. If you haven't watched all those parts, go have a look. They're about 9 minutes each. Some really good questions asked, so some good content in there. This week we have got 4 questions to get through. Going to make sure that they're answered nice and simply, keep them under 10 minutes, keep you guys happy. First question ties in nicely with my first announcement, which is Run Strong Month 5 is now live. So you can go to innerfight.com/Run Strong and you can now purchase month 5. Make sure to remember to do month 1, 2, 3 and 4 before you go on to 5. The month 5 builds as a progression on the previous month, so you need to have done the other sessions in order to get the most understanding from month 5. So runnerfight.com/Run Strong for that. And on the back of that announcement, we have a good question in from MJD_Smith, who you know is the boss. And he asked, for a novice runner, what is the split of strength versus run sessions for maximum progress? Could go down a long route here of saying it needs a little bit more detail. Are we looking at a marathon runner, 10K runner, ultra runner? But if we're looking at a general runner who is someone who's new to running, we are basically going down what the Month Strong program is built around. So one session that's focused more on lower body stability and keeping all the muscles that are basically helping a novice runner to run, get them stronger, but more importantly, keep them stable and active in the right places, a little bit like we talked about last week with the activating the glute stuff. And then one session which is based around core training and posture. So understanding how the body needs to be, how it needs to be held in space while running, which means that you'll be able to hold run form for longer. So we're looking at more run economy there. So those, I'd say 2 strength sessions a week are going to help with that. What you want to avoid is doing strength work that's making you too sore to actually do the run sessions. So for a novice runner, the most important thing for them is that they're actually running. And in order to do that, you've got to do run training. So we're looking probably around 3 to 4 run sessions a week. You might have a track style shorter effort run in there, intervals that's going to help a lot with running economy and teaching that runner to utilize the running muscles as best they can, and it kind of does it intuitively so that you don't have to do too much teaching behind it. You're then going to have your main base of running, which is aerobic work. So it might be some weeks 3 aerobic sessions. They might be only 45 minutes long, up to maybe 90 minutes, depending again on their goal. And you might do 3 like that. You might have a shorter one, a medium one, and a longer one. You might add in more rest days and have a longer rest days between 2 longer runs. There's a lot of ways you can mess around with it, but you want to roughly make sure that around 80% of the week is mainly low intensity aerobic, and around 20% can be what we'd say above lactate threshold or harder work. That is a good way to structure a week. So 2 strength sessions, 3 to 4 runs based on that 80% aerobic, 20% anaerobic theory. For a novice runner, you can't go too wrong with that. Cool, hope that answers that one. Next question from @JackHammond93, and he asks, compression kit, does it work? Seems to just give him cramp. Well, if it gives you cramp, mate, then no, it doesn't work for you, would be the short answer to that. It's interesting why it would give you cramp. If maybe the compression kit is forcing you into a movement pattern that you're not normally used to, then the muscle is either going to get into a spasm state, so being chronically tight and goes into a cramp, or it's in a state where it's not getting good blood flow. So maybe the compression kit is actually too tight and is stopping blood flow to that area. Compression kit, it's very unsure whether it works or not. Some people swear by it. Some people won't run without it, without like calf sleeves, or after hard sessions recover in tights, compression tights. It works to a point. Like everything, it doesn't work any better than other recovery methods. We answered one last week on cold cryotherapy and ice baths. It's foam rolling, stretching. If it works for the individual, then yes, it works. But in terms of actual study data, there's not a lot on it that it does work. Where it's helpful, I think, is after sessions, quite a few hours later. So once you've done the session, it might have been quite a hard session, so you might have built up quite a lot of lactate in the muscle, and along with that comes a lot of toxins and waste products through breakdown of energy that you've made during that session that can cause soreness within the muscle. And it won't necessarily reduce that soreness, but it will help to get muscle help get blood away from the muscle, which then once you've taken off the compression, so 30 to 40 minutes later, will then help with returning that blood down into the muscle, fresh blood. So like we talked about last week, cold shoots muscle away back into your central core, gets reoxygenated, which is happening constantly anyway, but you're adding more volume to it, and then comes back out and gets reintroduced to the muscles as fresher blood. If you're not doing that, if you're not helping the body with venous return, then that process just essentially takes a little bit longer. So yeah, compression can help with that, but obviously, like Jack's experienced, if it's too tight or it's giving you cramp in some way because it's changing your biomechanics, then maybe it's not good to run with for him. Some people, like I said, swear by running with it. Sometimes it just adds a little bit of support to the area that the person feels they need it while they're running. So cognitively, it can be very powerful, talking about that placebo effect again. So that's my thoughts on compression. I would use it, or I do use it, around 6 to 7 hours after a hard session, or if I'm traveling, I like to use it as well, and it's purely from a more psychological standpoint. Cool. Next question from @Humaid Al Gandhi, and he asks, I noticed my running felt lighter during Ramadan fasting and pre-breakfast sessions. Why? That is a question I'm not sure I have the answer to. It could simply be because you were lighter. Certainly when fasting you will have been lighter, so it'll have felt lighter to run. Pre-breakfast sessions, if you'd eaten quite a small amount after breaking fast and then you've slept, you've just got less foods in your stomach and you have less body mass to run with. So I think that's the answer to that one. It would be interesting to know look at a few other reasons of why. Maybe hydration status, certainly in Ramadan, can be a factor. But mainly it'll just be because you've probably got less food digesting within your stomach. Last question of the day. We're fitting this in with time nicely. Captain DK. I have plantar fasciitis. What is the best shoe for running with? Mate, this kind of ties in with the flat foot question last week. Go back and watch that. But plantar fasciitis can happen with people with flat feet normally. I actually wrote an article on this. It's one of the most common running injuries. Doing an article series, the most common run injuries, and plantar fasciitis is definitely in there. So there's a part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 4 is coming out soon. And essentially, I think plantar fasciitis was part 3. And what you're basically looking at is the muscles under the foot, under the heel and the lower leg are basically just getting chronically tight and balled up. So the muscle fibers need sort of breaking down, and again we're talking about blood flow, getting more blood flow into them to help with keeping them mobile, keeping them supple, keeping them sort of like oil for a car basically. So first of all, best shoe for running with plantar fasciitis, there isn't one. If you've got plantar fasciitis, whatever shoe you wear is going to affect it. It's more about fixing the problem. So rolling the bottom of your foot with a golf ball, with a hockey ball, or something hard is like a go-to one. Doing some lower leg maintenance, so stretching out your Achilles, rolling the fascia around your Achilles, around your calf muscle, that's all going to help. And then just plantar fasciitis needs rest, unfortunately, as well. So doing your maintenance with it and making sure that you're giving it enough time to rest and actually break that tissue down, but then not put it in a stressful state again to make it lock up. Then once you've done all that work, you can then start looking at which shoes seem to help you, and that will purely come from an anecdotal point. I can't recommend one that will certainly help. Also want to look at what maybe has caused it. So a lot of things that cause plantar fasciitis is around ankle mobility and foot strength. So strengthening your feet alongside making sure that you're mobilizing the tissue within the bottom of the foot and the lower leg is certainly going to help you on that. Cool, that's our time limit for today, guys. We'll see you next week for show 51. Make sure you get your questions in.